So basically, I'm going to talk about something just a little bit different tonight. I've been posting a number of videos specifically about finance and credit and stocks and whatnot. But now I'm going to post one about travel. I made a couple of videos right before COVID shut the entire world down. And this is one of the videos I made while I was in Manila, Philippines back in 2019. I was there, I think it was July. And of course, right after I came back to America, that's when COVID-19 pretty much struck. And that made it so it was impossible to, travel in 2020. And it was also impossible to travel basically in 2021, especially to a country such as the Philippines, where they had a very, very strict and brutal lockdown, and they're still locked down. Period. Today is I don't know why I said period. I think it's like I'm talking to Siri. So anyway, today is February 6th, and on February 10th, the Philippines is going to be opening up. A lot of people, especially those who have like Filipino girlfriends or families or whatever, are planning to obviously go to the Philippines. I, however, am going to hold off because I want to wait until after COVID, the restrictions are pretty much passed. Because the thing about it is, first of all, if you go there for like beach life, you can't enjoy it if you have to wear a mask. That's crazy. Number two, the Philippines has very strict lockdowns and they disallow you from freedom of movement, which means that if you go there, you're pretty much, you might end up quarantined for the majority of your trip. And for some dudes who have girlfriends there or have females online that they have pen pals, they may go there trying to meet up with them, only to find out that they themselves end up quarantined and they're not allowed to have guests in some of the Airbnbs and some of the hotels they might stay in. Now, when I was there, I had a chick living with me, basically in my condominium, and all she had to do was show her ID at the gate. The problem is a lot of the rules have changed there, and the logistics for going there right now are bad. So, there's been a couple of channels, specifically Black Filipino TV, and there's been a couple of others that were talking specifically about guys who want to travel, especially to go to the Philippines among other countries. You really might want to reconsider going immediately. I think within maybe a year, possibly two, most of the COVID restrictions will be out of the way. The mask mandates will be gone. Possibly any variants that might pop up will be dealt with, and there'll also be more than enough vaccines and whatnot and boosters and this, that, and other given to so many people that it won't be a big deal. The thing about it is, right now, the Philippines is demanding that you have, first of all, you have to be vaccinated. There's a lot of dudes who refuse to get vaccinated. They're not going to be allowed to go at all. Then the second thing, some countries, specifically the Philippines, are demanding traveler's insurance. If you're in the Philippines and you get sick, if you get COVID, they might literally trap you in the hospital and not allow you to leave the hospital until you pay the bill. That's pretty much how it is there. They don't have the credit system and credit cards and health bills and stuff like we have here in America. Here in America, it can cost you $10,000 just to have a baby delivered. You're almost better. It's like if your wife right now is expecting, you're almost better. If her water breaks, you're almost better just running some water in the bathtub, some warm water, and delivering the baby yourself. Because otherwise, you're going to end up for $10,000 in a damn hospital. So, some people have coverage for that. A lot of people don't. But the problem is, if you travel, that might call into question whether or not whatever your insurance is, that you have traveler's insurance. So that's what I really wanted to talk about. Now, as you know, I'm about to travel towards the Maldives. I'm leaving in exactly 67 days from now to go to one of the pretty much the most beautiful possible vacation spots in the entire world. So among the best possible vacation spots in the world, you have Bora Bora, Seychelles in Africa, and you have Maldives, which is an archipelago off the Indian coast. And not only that, but it's going to be a really great trip because I am going to make a video for you of flying Emirates business class, and that's going to be really fun. Where not only do you have freaking bar, a mini bar at your seat, you got fold flat seats for that 12.5 hour flight to Dubai plus another 4 hours. Let's see, this is Nonstop Dan's channel. And most of these guys have great 4K video of their flights on this. So this is the mini bar. And most of these dudes have 4K videos, and I don't have a 4K video of Emirates business class, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm going. As I've mentioned to you, if you're a YouTuber, a lot of these dudes on YouTube, they're making videos of their flights, and they're making videos to show off what kind of changes the airlines have made. Now, this video right here was made in 2021, so he flew in 2021. Now, I'm going to be flying here in 2022, so I'm going to be one of the first couple of people who posts a business class video in 2022 of the post-COVID, Emirates Airlines. So I'm really, really excited about that. And this other channel right here, Fly Top Tier. And he shows like the entire experience as well. I was watching his video. I left some comments for him. He's a smaller YouTuber. He only has 18,000 subscribers. But I watched his video, and I don't even know what camera he used, but he had some excellent cinematography, and he had excellent cinematography, and I think he was doing like 4K, 120 frame per second views. But he had excellent cinematography, and my point in flying is definitely so I can get video of both the A380 business class and the 777. So I've gone on talking about that for 6 minutes, but what I really need to talk about is traveler's insurance. So this right here I got from, what is it called? Expedia. And Expedia gives you a summary of the coverage that I got when I opted in for insurance for the flight. Now, a lot of people, because of Best Buy and Circuit City, and when they go to stores, they're always asked, oh, do you want to put a warranty on something, or do you want to put extra insurance on something? Most people shop in a way where at this point they don't like being asked about warranties, so they pretty much say no almost immediately. I actually, when I worked at Best Buy, short story, I used to be really good at explaining to people the policies and why they should have insurance on certain items. And I actually did very well at selling insurance on digital cameras and computers, specifically to Chinese buyers. And the reason why that was important was because I had the ability to speak Mandarin, but on top of that, Chinese buyers would come in with cash and they would never buy warranties. But I was the only person who could pretty much sell them warranties because otherwise they would absolutely turn it down. And I was doing a great job doing that. But Best Buy wouldn't pay me the amount of money that I wanted to get paid to work there, so I just fucking flat out quit one time. That was back in 2005. And then I continued on with my education, and I was able to get a job that paid me well above what Best Buy was paying. But anyway, my coverage for my trip says that the policy covers up to $10,000 in emergency medical expenses if you fall sick or get injured due to an accident while on your trip, subject to policy terms and conditions. Please note, in New York, travel medical expense coverage is described as accident, sickness, medical expense coverage under the insurance policy. When to claim: if you become sick or injured while traveling overseas and need emergency medical treatment. Other losses may be covered. Review your policy here. Now, basically, when you have a travel plan, you really should give your itinerary to your next of kin, and you should also print out all of this stuff so that you can keep it in your wallet or next to your passport or something. And they explain clearly what's covered. So they say services of a physician or registered nurse and related tests or treatments, hospital charges, prescription medication to treat a covered injury or sickness, covered medical expenses incurred for artificial limbs, artificial eyes, artificial teeth, or other prosthetic devices. What's not covered? Treatment for pre-existing medical conditions. That's where you get fucked right there. One thing I gotta say, Michael Moore, people can call him an ambush journalist, but the reality is pre-existing medical conditions is where they really fuck you with insurance, because unless they tell you up front what the pre-existing medical conditions that they will not cover are, there's always a chance that when you actually need coverage, that your policy won't cover you, and they'll claim that you had a pre-existing medical condition that a prudent person should have proclaimed when they took out the policy. This could be anything. I mean, COVID-19, for instance, supposedly attacks the lungs. Well, I'm not a smoker, and I don't have lung cancer. So as far as I know, there's no damage to my lungs so bad that I, should have to worry about a pre-existing medical condition. But then it goes on to talk about, what about pregnant women? Costs related to pregnancy or childbirth. What happens if you're a pregnant woman and you fly on vacation with your husband, and you got to deliver? They're basically telling you up front, we're not paying for that shit. And that's kind of fucked up, because my thing is, how could you be a pregnant woman and enjoy your spring break? Because I know some pregnant women right now. Oh, by the way, I had nothing to do with it. But I know some pregnant women, and if they want to go away for spring break, if they deliver that kid while they're away for spring break, the question is, will their policies, whatever they have, cover it? The answer might be no. Non-emergency medical expenses that can wait until you return home. So they're saying, listen, if it's not that bad, just bandage yourself up, get on the plane, get home, and then you can do it there. Medical expenses that are not necessary or reasonable. That could be anything. I think they're talking about, like, some of these people go and try to change their gender in Thailand, or they try to get their breasts removed and all this crazy shit that these liberal feminist induced gender confused people have problems with. So I'm guessing that includes medical expenses that are not necessary, because to tell you the truth, changing yourself from a man into a woman, that's pretty much not necessary. Non-medical expenses like food and drinks. Oh, so what you're telling me is you're not going to pay for my goddamn alcohol? Come on. So anyway, expenses for accommodation other than hospital room costs or extra costs of a single or private hospital room. Travel expenses for grades higher than economy. Oh, shit. So what you're telling me is that if I'm in business class, you're telling me that if I'm in a higher grade, you're not going to cover certain expenses? Costs you have to pay if you are fit to return home but refuse to do so. They're not covering that. One or more general exclusions may apply. So then you can go on to read the full policy, but pretty much most of it is pretty much sandwiched right here. So I did take out insurance for my trip specifically because I was worried about what would happen if COVID caused some kind of issue and I had to cancel a trip. It's like, I want my money back. So I did get insurance for the full refund of my trip. But the medical expenses is the thing that people need to pay attention to, because countries like the Philippines are demanding that you have up to $35,000 of coverage. So, for instance, you can look that up if you haven't already. Demands $35,000. So, you have to be able to cover yourself in case you get sick with COVID. So, they're saying that you need to have about $35,000 of coverage. Let's see. For $35,000 of coverage for COVID. Okay, where is it? It's here somewhere. So if you're planning to go to the Philippines, they're telling you up front that you... Wait, where is it? Let me try this. Medical. I was trying to add it. Look for nurses abroad. Philippines opposes airport entry restrictions. I think this is it right here. And this was recent, because you got to remember... Oh, no, this was not recent. This one is March. So it's here somewhere. Oh, man. Wait. Anti-abortion faith? No. Let me see. Okay, let me try Philippines demands medical coverage. I don't know. $11 months ago, entry restrictions. All right, well, bottom is, I can't find it right now, but I'll provide a link to it. But the bottom line is, Philippines demands, okay, wait, you know what? Let me try this. Philippines entry requirements for U.S. citizens. Okay, okay, they're lifting 2-year ban on foreign tourists, frontier squeezing passengers, China is boosting vaccines. Let's see, Philippines lists 2 years bans. Okay, so they're already saying that you have to test negative on PCR test. That's the polyamerase or some shit, fucking COVID test. I don't know. But the bottom line is, if you actually read through the information, I'm going to post a link because I don't want to spend too much time on this. But they've had this ban on tourists that were non-Filipino for 2 years. So that means that anybody, UK, Australian, American, whatever, you weren't allowed to enter the country for 2 whole years. If you think about it, we entered the quarantine basically in March 2020. Right now, it is February entering March 2022. So they're allowing you to come back February 10th, they're saying. But you have to have $35,000 worth of coverage. My recommendation is that if you are planning to go to one of these countries, you need to find out, first of all, they're going to demand that you be vaccinated. So if you're one of these Trump supporters or for whatever reason you care about your constitutional rights and you don't feel the government has a right to force you to inject anything in your body, which you're absolutely right, the bottom line is they may not let you fly. And if they don't let you fly, then none of this means anything to you. However, we have no idea if they're ever going to or when they're ever going to lift that ban. So if you are going to get your vaccination, you're also going to probably want to check and see if the entry requirements say that you have to have a certain amount of medical coverage. Now, some of these companies that Forbes has outlined right here, and they're usually very helpful, but Forbes has outlined a number of companies that are offering you specific COVID medical coverage per person. They're offering $500,000 right here, $500,000 right here. Now let's go down and let's find one of they allow you to compare these things. Now you can get quotes. I'm not going to put any of my personal information in front of you here, but you can look for, number one, cancellation coverage, which I already have, and then you may have to look for the cheapest $250,000 worth of medical coverage along with the cancellation policy. So if you look at John Hancock, let's look at John Hancock. Let's say if I was going to the Philippines, normally I would leave July, probably the 1st, and I would return on the 29th. Main destination is MNL. So, Manila. Okay, so you can't type that. Philippines. There you go. Okay, so step 2. Traveler info. Country of residence. State of residence. New York. Citizenship. Number of travelers. Traveler age. 40. Okay, trip cost. State of residence. I already did that. Okay, I'm not putting in the address right here. Continue to step 3. Why the fuck doesn't this thing stay in? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? I just did this. What are you doing? What the fuck? Why won't it just fucking accept it? Alright, let's try step 3. God damn it. There's something wrong with this page. There's something wrong with this page. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, this shit is stupid. Alright, so anyway, you'd have to do this yourself. But the bottom line is, the medical coverage quotes are based on your age, they're based on your state, and they're also based on how much the plan is promising to cover. Now, obviously, as you can see, there's some kind of glitch. It won't allow me to enter my information. But the bottom line is, some people spend between $2,000 and $3,000 for this level of coverage. Now, if you're a person who's trying to fly to the Philippines, chances are you ain't trying to spend that kind of money. But, because, you know, the thing about it is $2,000 worth of coverage, that's pretty much probably 200% of the cost of your flight. Chances are your flight's only like between $1,000 and $1,500, but usually it's about $1,000, especially if you already bought your ticket a while ago. But That's just how some of, oh my God. What the fuck is wrong with these people? 2022, 1, return date 29, main destination PH. Jesus Christ, I hate these things. New York. It's not fucking allowing, it's not entering this shit. I don't know why. I can't do it. It won't enter it, and it's pissing me off. But they have reviews where you can review providers, and you can actually read some of the reviews that have been posted by some people. Like, for instance, let's go to John Hancock. Where's John Hancock? Or another one, Trawick. Let me see. Oh yeah, there's John Hancock. They have a bunch of reviews that you can read, and I like to start with the bad ones and then go to the good ones. But you know, I like the bad ones sometimes. Sometimes the bad ones are funny. All ratings 1 star, newest first. Okay, so Raphael from Ohio. Due to reasons beyond my control, Israel closing its borders. Closing. I was unable to take my trip, whereas the airlines and Israeli COVID test site provided with me a full refund. You refused! And for that, you get 1 star. If I had the opportunity, I'd give you 0 stars. Oh, was this helpful? Absolutely, yes, it was. Okay, next. This guy was raging. You better watch out. Raphael might have an AR-15. You never know. So anyway, Laura from California. I tried contacting John Hancock 4 days before my trip with a question. I was on hold for a long time. A recording came on saying I could leave my number and someone would contact me within 24 hours. I did not get a call back until a week later. This is unacceptable, and I will not use John Hancock travel insurance again. Yes, this was very helpful. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Leela from New York. You should make it known that cancellations must be made within 24 hours for a full refund. I thought the whole idea of insurance was in case you had to cancel no matter what. I had no idea that we would seriously have to cancel, but we did. But the reason we had to wasn't covered by insurance. We had to cancel, and that's that, so it sucked not getting a refund. I'll never use any type of ends like this again. Not only did we lose our money from the trip, we also lost, although a small amount, still an insurance payment. Definitely helpful. Yes, absolutely. Daniel from Idaho. So I called to get canceled for any reason insurance. The representative told me to hold off from purchasing it until I had all the accommodations purchased, presumably so we could determine the cost of the trip. No problem. That made sense. So because we were traveling to a country in a very different time zone, it took several weeks to get things confirmed. But I did so and called back. This time I was told that I could no longer buy cancel for any reason insurance and that the first representative had given me bad information. I was very and understandably upset to have been given false information. So a manager or a higher up called me to make things right. She basically told me there was nothing she could do, even in light that your company gave me inaccurate information. As a business owner, I make sure my customers are given correct information. And in the extreme rare case, when bad information is shared with customers, we make things right. Every time. Clearly, we don't all run out of businesses by those high standards. My advice to square mouth, own the mistake. Train personnel as needed. Make it right to the customer and move forward. Absolutely. This was absolutely helpful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ronald from Pennsylvania. I called the 24-hour line and was told they were only answering service and they would have someone call me. That was 2 weeks ago. Never received the return call. Never received the return call. That was absolutely helpful. Thank you, Ronald. Thank you. Pamela from Texas. No comment. Was that helpful? Yes. Okay. Jay from New York. I bought a policy for a trip to Australia. Due to a 14-day mandatory government quarantine, the trip was not possible. I submitted a claim for a Virgin Australia flight. Virgin Australia went into bankruptcy and could not honor its refund policy. The policy did not have an exclusion for a pandemic, but did cover quarantine and vendor bankruptcy. John Hancock told me if I had flown to Australia and been in quarantine at a hotel in Australia for 2 weeks, my much larger claim would have been valid. Since I was not quarantined, the claim was not valid. There was no definition of quarantine in the policy information. John Hancock's definition of bankruptcy of a vendor only applied to U.S. companies, and the claim was denied. The definition was in the policy information. I find it hard to understand how a trip cancellation due to a mandated quarantine is not covered. I am reevaluating the value of travel insurance and will certainly avoid John Hancock in the future. 99 out of 99 found this helpful, so guess who I am? I'm number 100. There you go. Ha! Okay, so you get the point. You can read these reviews yourself, and you can see that these people got fucked out of their money. And I'm not, my thing is, COVID-19 has basically made this the worst possible time to even bother trying to travel. It really has. In fact, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what, really, I should have just waited till next year. But the problem was I was itching to get the fuck out of here, and I really was desperate to get the hell out of here. So I want to be on the nice, warm beach in Maldives with some young girl serving me buko juice. And I just couldn't wait any longer. I had to get the hell out of here. I had to get the hell out of here because this place is crazy. And it's cold, and it's crazy. As you know, I live in New York. Crime's off the hook. People going wild. It's like, I just had to get out of here. So that's basically all I had to really say. If you go to Forbes Advisor, you can look for some good coverage. You don't really need 500,000 per person. But then again, some of you have pre-existing conditions and you really might need that kind of coverage. If you shop cheap, you're going to get less, obviously. The cheaper, usually you notice that the lower you go, pretty much the lower the stars. And chances are, if they charge you more money, they're probably more likely to cover claims. So my thing is, you got to shop carefully. And again, this is based on your age and your state, how much it's going to cost you. So, you just have to shop wisely with this. Cat 70, I don't like, different premiums, different policies, all that's going to cover different costs and whatnot. So, again, you got to really shop carefully. But if you're planning on traveling, this is something you pretty much have to do. You don't really have a choice. So that's all I had to say. And 68 days from now, I'm going to be on that plane, getting the hell out of this place. And that's that. So if you have any questions, comments, feel free to put them in the chat.